This live stream tonight is called "'Tis the Season to Be Modding," and I'm Mike McWilliams, as always, here for the Sunday at Mike's. Tonight we're going to be talking all about modding your guitars instead of buying new ones. So I hope you stick around for that. Before we get started, I'd like to first say, as always, time is a value. Spending a little bit of yours with me, especially during the holiday season, is greatly appreciated. I want to welcome everybody to the live stream tonight. How are you guys doing? Let me make my adjustments here. Ben, hey, how you doing, Ben? Pat's in house. Scott, all the way from Newfoundland. Thank you so much showing up, Scott. First, appreciate it. Mr. Thornhill in the house tonight. Mr. Watson, how are you guys doing? Everybody's here. The gang's all here, guys. Well, I am okay, I guess. Uh, I have been thinking and planning and plotting and looking at my parts drawer recently and came up with really the inspiration for tonight's discussion. As always, I like to talk about the things that have been going on here at Upstairs to the Right Studio. And I have modding on my mind actually these last few days. Now, again, if you guys are new here, don't forget to hit the subscription button. I always forget to say that. I should say that, but I don't. So don't forget to hit subscribe and the like button, guys. All right, let's get into it. Now, I want to talk about why I think modding is a great idea during the holiday season. And I'm going to show you some example of some mods that I was working on just today as an example. I'm going to give you some tips for getting started with mods if you're uncomfortable or unfamiliar with it or you haven't tried it yet, and some of the pitfalls to avoid. And I'd like to hear from the audience here about some of your favorite mods that you may be planning or that you've done. As you know, the Esquire SC is at the shop with Fern. He and I went over a game plan with it, and we found out that we don't have a route as much out as we thought we did, actually, to turn it into an HH configuration. I'm still waiting for the plate to come through the pick guard. However, I've got a notification today that says that it should arrive tomorrow. So I will mount that and get that to Fern, and maybe in a week or so after Christmas, we may have that project done and we can show that off. But in the meanwhile, during the last live stream, I brought out of its very dusty gig bag my Harley Benton that I bought 3 years ago. When I was new here to living in Europe, I knew nothing about Harley Benton's at all. I had no pros or cons, nothing away. I was hearing some things that they were good value guitars. And at the time, I was looking for SG style guitar. I tried the Epiphone and the Harley Benton, and I kept the Harley Benton actually between those two because a couple of functions that it had that I actually never used. It has push-pull pots on it, but I never used them. But in any case, brought that guitar out and I shared it with you guys, and I was going through my parts bin because I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, I have a set of Burstbucker 2 and 3 in my parts bin, and I thought, well, let's put those in and see how that sounds. And I really am saving those for something else, but I didn't think it was it. But in the meanwhile, while I was going through that parts bin, I found, if you think back on eBay, I ordered a set of humbucker size P90s. You guys remember that? And I remember they were Dream 90 used in hand, but they were good condition. And I didn't know anything about it. I was looking for, just toying with doing a show about what I thought about full humbucker size P90s as opposed to humbuckers in terms of the sound. That was the thought behind that. I bought them and I put them in the bin and I forgot all about them. I literally forgot all about them. And I went looking for those burst bunkers and I came across those. And I said to myself, well, I try to remember because they didn't have the box. Guy wrapped them nice, but they were in the box, and original box. And I try to remember Dream 90s. I remember that's what they were called. So I decided to look up exactly what these were. Um, and they're made from a company called Guitar Fetish, GFS. And apparently they don't; these aren't available anymore. They do have something similar to them, but they've changed their complete design. So they even have the quick lock system going now. And these don't have a quick lock system one, which I don't like. I'm soldering iron and some solder so I can make that work. But I don't know what magnets are. There's a mystery of because they've changed their formula. I'll read you what it says on their website. Exactly. But this is the new one. So we've taken one of the sweetest pickups we make, and we've dressed it up in an elegant wrapper, a killer pickup. These are the brand new Dream 90 series, new improved. We've beefed up the output, put in Alnico 5 magnet in it, and these aren't these new ones. So I tried to dig into it to find out, about the version 1. I cannot find they're either ceramic magnets, Alnico 2 magnets, Alnico 5 magnets, some people say, or they're a stacked A2 ceramic. It doesn't really matter because I decided I would give them a shot. GRB, hey, how you doing? Good day, mate. How you doing? Hope you're doing well too. I'm doing fine. So thank you for asking. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I said, you know what? Let's put those in that Harley Benton. I've had it's relatively expensive pickups in there. $300 set, $150 set. I never really took to the Wilkersons that originally came out with. So this would be the 4th pickup swap, on this thing. So today I got out my handy. Is it handy? Yeah, I got out my handy soldering iron, and I popped that Harley Benton open, and I put in those pickups. And I have to say, guys, take a look at this. This is how it came out. So those are the humbucker sized P90s, Dream 90 of unknown, Alnico or ceramic, doesn't matter. These are killer. These are absolutely killer pickups. Now, they're not expensive pickups by any means. They're only $35 a piece new. I can't remember. I paid like $55 with shipping for these because they were secondhand, but these are killer pickups. These aren't coming out of this guitar, and it looks nice too. It just works with them. I've been I dialed them in a little bit. I still got some dialing in to do with them. But just the basic dialing that I did, playing through my amp, the Truth, the Laney amp, I call it the Truth because if you got a shitty guitar, it will tell you. They sound wonderful, wonderful. I couldn't, so there, it blew my mind about price in guitar pickups because I thought, below a certain amount of money, they get a little dicey. But for $35 new piece, I can say that these GF, go to their website, check them out. These are great sounding. This is a dark guitar, and I think that's the reason why I kept swapping pickups because I could EQ out the darkness. But it was still darkness or a blanket is another way that I like to put it. And this guitar had a bit of a blanket on it, a bit of a darkness. I could EQ it out, of course, and it was okay. But these picks completely eliminated that darkness, took that blanket right off, put some daylight on that darkness, and like I said, these. I can't believe these are just sitting around for at least a year, maybe less than a year or a year or so now in a box, and I never even thought about it. But I am blown away by these P90 humbucker size P90s in this guitar. And for this guitar, which is a $260, $69 guitar, something like that, that makes sense to put this value of pickups in it. And if they sound great, then you're winning. And I can highly recommend at least these Dream 90s. They're both 390s pickups, but just sound fantastic, guys. They really are something. Let me catch up here. GRB, I'm going to Electronics Store to purchase a soldering station today so I can do my very first guitar soldering. Congratulations. Why is this thing trying to move strap pick guard? No. Yeah, you gotta disconnect the input jack, snip those wires, and then you'll be okay. Ben Scott says, like a P94. Yeah, like a P94. Like that, yeah. That's that, or almost like a Filtron or, something like that, Ben says, wow, looks sharp, Mike. Hope we get to get them in the video. Yeah, so I filmed myself the whole process of wiring, taking apart, wiring it, discussing what I was going to do with it. And then tomorrow, now that's all wired up, I was too tired. Plus, I wanted to make a pie. So I didn't finish shooting. Tomorrow, I'll sit down and I'll do a demo of how it sounds through my Laney with that 72 greenback and film that, and you guys can hear him. But yeah, really something there. Any tips on soldering iron station buy? Yeah, you don't need an expensive one. You only need one, this one that I pulled out, I think I paid about 50 euros for it, tops. You don't need to spend a lot. It doesn't need to be like industrialized or, you just, something in that price range, you just can't go wrong. And then it really doesn't matter what the brand is. That's just been my experience. Merry Christmas, Mr. Rogers. Maddie says, looks great. Thank you, Maddie. Mike, what size pots on those pickups? So I'm using the 5. I have a nice set. Firm, when we first swap in here, we put in, of course, all new electronic pots and caps. These are 500K. Now you would think, okay, P maybe go down to 250, but I think that I find that may limit you in terms of your overhead. I think a 500 works better with these, and they do. But you can experiment with that as you wish, guys. Ben Allmark, you gotta love when you find something laying around that you forgot about score. No kidding, man. I bought them because at the time, again, like I said, it was just a thought. And I saw them, and I didn't know anything about them. I know nothing about humbucker size P90. I'm being honest with you, I'm not a knowledgeable guy on it. As a matter of fact, in order to write tonight's script, I had to do quite a bit of research, so I know a lot more now. But I'm blown. In any case, yeah, score. It was sitting around the house. And that's, again, one of the points that I'm going to make tonight. Get to hear them in the video is what I meant to say. Yes, sir. That's coming up. Man, I'm trying to clean it up for the holidays. Why are you trying to get me started? Because, I was worried because my cat was climbing up on the counter. I don't like hair in my pocket. GRB, awesome, thank you. Yeah, nice SG. Yeah, it's the Harley Benton. It's kind of like a cross between a Gibson SG and a Viper LTD. To be honest with you, it's got some aspects of both, especially in the access and the control area. They're very Viperish. but it's a good hybrid. It's like, if they had a night out on the town together, this was the baby they would produce. And it's actually really nice. And while I had it apart, I conditioned the fretboard and did a little bit of dressing and polishing to the frets. Just to clean her up, show a little bit of respect. Scott Bogfoot, my soldering sucks. I need to just slam soldering rubber. You know what my problem was, Scott, when I was doing it today was my eyes. I had to go hunting around with my reading glasses, and I hate that. But once I put it on, it was all good. But that was just sad. I'm getting Mr. Magoo. That's just my eyes should be sharp as hell, but they are starting to go. I have to admit. But my soldering is straight. Yeah, Iron Man pickups. Yeah, man, get all soldering to someone else. That's the thing. There used to be a time I would do that, but that's like 35 to 60 bucks depending upon who you see. So for 50 bucks you can buy a soldering station and be done with it. So there's that. I can't get over how, and they fit the vibe. These were the pickups all along that this guitar should have come with, because it just works all the way around this thing. Just a beautiful guitar now, and we'll go back. So much so that I am going to record. It is more than back to being record worthy, and I have a track that I have in mind for it. We all know how expensive new guitars are these days. So my thought is, why not basically just save some money and upgrade the guitars that you already own. It can be fun. And during the holiday times, you have time. Like today, I had a nice lazy Sunday, and I just said, hey, let me start digging through stuff, and one thing led to another, to a pleasant surprise. And I'd like for you to have that happen as well. Now, as you know, my Squire SC is getting a full makeover into an HH Beast. And Fern and I discussed it, and total parts and labor is going to be $80 to do that. It's including the routing, his labor, new pots, caps, the whole nine. Now, for 80 euros, 80 bucks, I'm sorry, for 80 bucks US, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And we're putting quality pickup, we're putting quality pots and caps in, and that guitar is just going to be killer. So there's nothing like taking a guitar you've had for years and turning it into something new. It's like giving your gear a second life in a way. And sometimes we're always reaching for something new, but maybe we just need to put a wig on what we already got. I'm sorry, that was bad. Kenneth says, Gibson really got it right the first time with that bridge and tailpiece design. Really stayed. They really did. I myself have found that the weight of the tailpieces do play a big part. You want to get as light of a tailpiece as possible. So that's my, people don't believe in tone woods, but I do believe in pickups, amps, speakers, and tailpieces. Interestingly enough. Well, I guess my wife is getting a wig for Christmas. I didn't want to say it, but that's what I meant. Works for everything, guys. Works for everything. Sometimes it's a great way to put your unique stamp on your instruments, and no one else will have that guitar. I can tell you right now, these are not the original tuners. I've changed those. Those are not the original knobs that this thing has. It's not the original tailpiece or bridge or pickups. I've completely personalized this, designed it into a look that I thought made it look cool. I mean, I'd say they didn't look bad before, but and like I said, that looks almost like that's the way the guitar came, or should have come. So put your unique stamp of your own on your instruments. And modding teaches you skills that make you more self-sufficient as a guitarist as well. I remember an old VHS tape of oh God, what's his name from the Eagles? Not Randy Meisner. Gosh. Anyway, he was giving a lesson in setting up your guitar, and he said that any good guitarist should know how to set up his or her own guitar. And then there's some cats that'll take that even further and say you should be able to set it up as well as take it apart and put it back to solder it and wire it up yourself again. And whether it's soldering, routing, or understanding how pickups work, every mod is a learning opportunity. See, the more you know. That's an old PSA thing from the 80s. I know none of you guys know that on like cartoons on Saturday. The more you know. The more you know, though, the less, again, they can sell you a love hooey. I have come to the conclusion that you can get a great, at least in this case, pickup for $35. It is true. Well, a set for 70. I think that that's entirely possible. I didn't believe Joe Walsh. Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, Joe Walsh. You see that tape, by the way, Maddie? I swear, there is some trove of stuff on YouTube, and that's one of them. Everybody should check that one out. And for those who are newer to modding, don't worry. I'm going to cover some beginner-friendly tips later in the stream. Now, I'm really excited, again, like I said, about that Squier SE coming through. Talk about, putting a wig on it. I'm putting tires, I'm putting rims, and I'm giving it the full, chrome kit all the way around with tinted windows, with the engine, with the pickups, are freaking Lamborghini hand-wound Q pickups, Dry Z's. But in working with my Luther to route the body, because that's a bit too advanced for me, plus he'll be able to route it and seal it. And by the way, it's solid wood. It's not, that guitar is solid wood all the way through. All told, again, about $80, but the end result, it'll be a totally unique guitar that rivals models costing hundreds more. Like I said, I'm not in a lot on that guitar because it was I put together. I have, done a lot of the work myself, so that saved money. And Fern is kind enough to give his expertise when I need it at a good price. So that's a good thing. And now, I think, again, the underlying message, as always, is saving money. Because, you're not going to get, an HH Strat, for $80. It's like a Tinker toy or something like that. Does Go? Do they make guitars? It's another old reference. My college professor in Pan-African Studies said, if you guys don't graduate from college, you're going to have to drive a Yugo. And he would just sit there and just have the biggest gut laugh ever. I'll never forget that. Joe sets up a Les Paul. If that's the one, yes. I've seen it. It is great. Yes, that fretwork is really fun to play with. I hammered some Evil Gold wire into my SG. That's amazing, Ken. Now, even I have not got into the realm of doing a refret. Again, like I said, I do dress polish, all that basic stuff. But a refret, that's bold. Congratulations. Oh, I know I know it is, and I probably will get to it. I have some necks, laying around that are my test necks, my dummy necks, so to speak. And those are the ones that I practice, my practice necks, and those are the ones that I use to learn how to do stuff with. So it's gonna happen. Because I'd like to actually do it with this Harley Benton. These frets are supposed to be medium jumbo, but I swear they're jumbo frets. I'd really like to put in a set of, well, real medium jumbos or something along those lines. These things are almost like speed bumps. Fretwork is really fun to play with. It's easy. Yeah, I agree. Again, challenging yourself too, learning something new. You know, I'm a light player. I'd be honest with you. I know guys who wear down frets within a year or so on their bass guitars or their guitars when I was growing up. Me, never had a problem. Never. They almost look new. I was extremely light touch. I guess some. Maybe I'm not bending enough up and down the neck. Now, I again in this case of the Harley Benton, I already had the parts laying around because again, as I said, as you see stuff and you've got a few bucks, spare bucks laying around, and you see something, pick it up. You may not know what you're going to do with it, but if something in the back of your mind says, "Hey, I should get that," start getting together a parts bin with parts for whatever type or types of guitar that you own play. So that if anything ever happens to them, or if availability, God forbid, we get to a point where availability is a trickle. And we are on the razor's cusp of those events playing out in the world that would make something like that happen. You've got all your stuff already. So it's prepping for your guitar. You know about those preppers? The guys who like get 100,000 remade meals and stick them in down in their basement and forget to buy the water to hydrate them. How do you eat it? I don't know. We're gonna have to suck on it, I guess. Please, if you get those, buy the water as well. Yeah, prepping for your guitar. Prepping for your guitar is kind of what I'm talking about too. Newer guitars don't really fret job like older ones. I agree. They're installed way more accurate now. These are stainless steel frets, so technically, I'll be gone long before they wear down. So there is that as well. Yeah, and I damn sure going to practice a whole heck of a lot before I get on one of my '70s Tokais. So if you're interested, by the way, again, in the total difference between humbuckers and P90s, I will do a show coming up this week. Lots of stuff coming up for the holiday coming up here to share with you guys, so that keep it interesting. I'm not doing anything, so I got the time to put it together. So now, if you're new to modding, start with easy projects like swapping pickups, changing tuners, or even installing a new bridge. These can make a huge difference without requiring tools or skills. Advanced tools, I should make a note of that, or skills. Soldering pickups is extremely easy. It's a little bit more complicated on Strats, but it's basically the same thing. When you start getting into four conductor wire, then you can refer to diagrams that will help you with that are easily found on the internet. This was not true when I was growing up. Which is why now I'm just now saying, hey, well, the diagrams, they got them there, so I got no more excuse. So basic things, challenge yourself, change your pickups, because it's a pickup swap, change your guitar's life. That this guitar was consigned to its bag most of it. Now, heck no, I'm gonna record. This thing sounds awesome. I'm really happy with these pickups, and this is done. This guitar is done. I'm not gonna change anything on it. But I did that. I changed the tuners, changed the pickups, put in a new bridge, new electronics, the whole nine through the course of the last 3.5, 4 years that I've owned it. 3.5 years. Now you're gonna need a soldering iron, guys. Boy, I shouldn't have dropped that. But anyway, you're gonna need a soldering iron of some sort. this is a 240 watt or 240V. And you don't need an industrial size one, like I said. You just need a simple, basic one. Now, over here in the EU, excuse me, lead solder is not allowed anymore. You have to smuggle it in. Sorry, sir, we're gonna have to take you in the back. You know, we see some wire coming hanging down your leg. It's just my lead solder, man. I'm just trying to get it back into the EU. It's true. So you're gonna need some solder. This is not lead solder. This is the EU approved solder. I do have some of the good stuff. You're gonna need certainly that. So here's your beginnings. The beginning of the beginning right here is your soldering iron and your solder. You're going to need screwdrivers. You're going to need, certainly, if you're handling the wires and the solder, you're going to need yourself a good set of needle nose pliers. Because you want to solder your finger to the pot. See, the wire goes to the pot, not your finger. And I seen guys just using their hands and doing it. You can do that, you know, that's fine. But you know, just get a set of needle nose pliers. This one's great because it's not just needle nose pliers; it's also a wire stripper. You're gonna need that as well because a lot of these you're gonna have to strip the lead, the plastic off so that you can do your thing. So this is actually a 3-in-1 kind of thing. So that's always something that you want to consider. Wire cutters, and you're going to need a multimeter for connections. Not exactly super necessary for changing pickups. Once you change pickups, I don't have, doggone it, I meant to have all the tools to show. I do. Oh yes, the screwdriver, the before mentioned screwdriver. After you're done with your soldering, just turn it over, plug it into your amp, and give the pickups a tap, on the pole pieces. You should hear sound. If you hear sound, you're good to go. You're good to go. So a multimeter is good for checking the output of the pickups, but it's not necessary. But I do throw it in there as something that you would be nice to have. Kenneth says, "Aha! Eddie Van Halen literally didn't know how to solder, but Frankenstein together. He just guessed on wires, and it sounded okay. Then left the neck pick disconnected." Yeah, he's like, you know what? I got the bridge done. That's enough. It makes sound. So those tools. Now, for more advanced modifications like routing new pickups, you need to access a router, or in my case, just get yourself a trusted luthier. Again, like I said, you can do. I had a nightmare Greco that came through that had the worst routing. Somebody did it with a, like an awl and shit or some, I don't know, a butter knife or something. And it was just god awful done. And that good because you want to seal that. If you route it, you want to seal it as well to keep moisture out of that routing area, especially if it's old wood. You really like to have a professional do that. So, but you can learn to do those things yourself. I prefer not to do that. I like doing woodwork finishing work, repairs, dents, and things like that. And we've been through that on this channel. You guys have seen some of that work. But that kind of routing, I would prefer to have a guy like Fern, do it. Or your local lumberjack. But then again, the routing, maybe that's who did the routing in that Greco, a lumberjack. Before you start on YouTube, you got a lot of tutorials, guys. a lot of tutorials. There's so much information there about how to do everything. And some of them are really professionally shot, so you get every angle and there's no confusion. You know, read guides, double check the compatibility of your parts as well. For example, not all humbuckers will fit perfectly into every Strat style body. So, in other words, you know, understand that you may have to do some routing work or stuff like that nature. One big mistake, the biggest common pitfall is rushing the job. Take your time. You know, I've done a few pickup swaps now, and mostly removals and swaps because I'm like, before I sell this guitar, I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not going with these pickups, especially if they're mine that I put in there to do a demo or something. And that's how I learned necessity because I couldn't keep running down the fern every time that situation came up, plus it would cost a lot. But I took my time, and I still take my time. I still check everything. This is going here, you know. I'm like a Japanese chain conductor. If you ever seen them, they're like pointing, you know, everything, and then they can go. Another one is use cheap tools. Especially with this, don't buy cheap, don't buy any sidearm. $50 is your sweet spot. I said that. Invest in decent tools. Save a lot of frustration. So I had a soldering iron that I bought in Singapore, and the first one that I bought, this is the second one, again in Singapore. But the first one I bought in Singapore was hot enough to melt solder. Like, what the hell is this for? You know. No idea. You know, like warming your soup. Now, honestly, you know, the line current again of all of this has been again saving money, and you know, what's that? Teach an old dog new tricks, put a wig on it, whatever you want to call it. Taking something that you have and refurbishing and making it new, or changing its look. That can be far more satisfying than buying a new guitar, because buying the new guitar is just because, you know what, I got, I got a hole somewhere in me that needs filling, and I thought a new guitar is going to do that, as opposed to, hey, I got, it's like that old story of the town who got somebody had some old dried up carrots, somebody had some old dried up beef, somebody had this, that, and the other. When they all put it together in the pot, they could all eat. It's that thing again that you want to by having a parts bin. Is being able to have all the pieces to be able to put together something interesting. And again, like I said, as a holiday venture, as a time consumer, or something that you could do with your friends and family. You know, hey man, I'm gonna do that. Why don't you come over? Oh yeah, let's check. I want to do that. Let's do it. Or like we're gonna swap pickups. Cool. Or you got some free time, and instead of watching Red One, which by the way I watched last night. During Christmas season, I watched all my favorite Christmas stuff. My favorite Christmas song actually is "All I Want from Christmas" from Family Guy song. That's my favorite Christmas song. It really is. Second, McFarlane really knows how to write a tune. Down to watching Christmas movies, and I watched Red One. I don't know where the $250 million went. I really don't. But at least it was mindless entertainment. I can say that much about it. And while I'm watching movies like that, when I just stuff in the background, I can be wiring up a car or doing something along those lines. My amp, I just put in some new old stock tubes. It took a minute because some didn't play well, which is one of the reasons I'm glad I have, as I've showed you before, a box full of tubes, so that I can play that gain, the one that works with that amp. So these are the kind of things that you can do around the house with stuff that you should have. Again, if you've been collecting stuff and you have a respectable grab bag of used parts laying around, then you'll find it's economical as well. All the way around, can't beat it. I mean, all in, the pickups, like I said, were $55 with shipping. Secondhand, the Harley Benton new, that wasn't stock. I bought it new. So what? We were like 310 euros into this guitar, and it plays better than most of its level. It really does, and sounds better, and it's gotten tight. For some reason, it tightened it up, and you're not going to get that experience from a new guitar. You buy a Firefly or something like that. And not to say that that can't be a good experience, but I think that if you got something awesome, just make it more awesome. That's a better idea than taking something new in that's mediocre. Just a thought. Routing gets a little scarier when the guitar isn't just a pawn shop Ibanez. Can't just grab a screwdriver and a hammer. Oh God, that's what it was, man. I think somebody did that routing in that Greco with a screwdriver and a hammer. I'm serious. No, and especially with that Squire SE, those things are getting hard to find, and people are starting to get hip that they're made just the same as the made in Mexico ones, completely. And they're awesome guitars for not a lot of money, so they're getting swapped up, especially the ones that are in great condition like mine. And you do not want to monkey around with that routing. You want to do it nice, so that if I want to put it back to its original triple S, great, I can do that. It's just a matter of dropping it in, soldering the input jack, and go home. Bob's your uncle. Ben Allmark. If I would have spent all the money I've spent on gear or on lessons instead, I'd be further ahead. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, man, dig that. Out of what I had to do, I had to buy the gear though. In order to be a producer in LA in the 90s, you had to have gear. Every dime that I had came in from a gig went into it. Wasn't on, I had an okay apartment, but it wasn't on my car. Wasn't on any of that stuff. It was on gear. It's kind of, as a Japanese shogunai, it can't be helped. GRB, at the moment I'm writing to Everclear's Punk Christmas Carol, I will be hating for Christmas. Awesome. Yeah, man. There's some great alternate Christmas songs out there. But the way that Seth MacFarlane had that scored, it has that grand, musical, veneer to it. GRB, I'm a big fan of Santa Monica and Father of Nine. It's Father of Mine. Awesome. Cool band. Awesome guitar work. And a good vibe. I'll check it out myself. Santa Monica and Father of Mine. I'll check that out, Ben. I'm always interested in hearing new stuff. Again, I have been over time acquiring not expensive tools, but decent tools, ones that'll do the job. And I know my limitations, and I have established a relationship, as you should if you can, with your local luthier. So even if you're going to do it yourself, you can run down there and say, hey, man, if you got a minute, I'm going to do this, just want to make sure, study first. Don't go down there and be like, oh, what do I do? No, don't do that. Hey, I'm going to do this. I read it. If I do this will be fine. And certainly take the time to say, yes, that's correct. Go ahead. And they'll actually encourage it, because, it's something they would rather have you do anyway. Ben Allmark, I'm not a fan of Christmas music at all, but love a couple of John Lennon Christmas tune, epic shit. Yeah, I like John's. He has, again, one of my top, great musician, great composer, not the greatest person, but doesn't matter. Art transcends us. Thank goodness. Family Guy's music budget has to be insane. Yeah, you know. He has, who's that? Mike Murphy doing it. Mike Murphy scored most of the music of '90s films, and even before that, he's a pretty up there kind of guy. You know, could assume that his salary is not not a little bit. So yeah, it's got to be insane. You got Murphy. Don't write your album in the studio. That gets expensive. Yeah, yeah, man. I ran into so many guys. There was a guy named Gilo that was signed to LaFace that was working down at Babyface's studio, and that guy was writing his album in the studio, man. And I was raised among enough formal musicians that I knew better. You know, you work it out at home, you get it all set up, and then you go in and you knock it out. But yeah, I've seen that for real. But you know, it was the '90s. There's a lot of budget out there, but I bet you he wishes he hadn't done that now. So yeah, guys, basically, you know, if you're working on modding a project this season, happy modding to you. It's the season to be modding. Because like I said, we got some free time. I'm looking, now that I'm done with this, it turned out so nice, I'm wondering what else can I mess up. No, actually, I'm good. I'm really waiting for that pickguard to come in, and then I am going to mount these Q pickups, these hand wound dry Z pickups into it. Then I'm going to drop that off down at Ferns, and again, he's going to do his magic, and that'll be it. And I really can't wait to play that Squire. I think it's going to sound awesome. I'm hoping. Especially the way that I'm wiring it. But I'm having him wire it. But just like I said, instead of going out and buying a new guitar, by the way, I almost forgot. So I've been hemming and hawing and talking about that Tokai body Greco neck 1980 parts caster. And I told you guys that I finally negotiated with the guy a price on it. And my agent in Japan, he's been busy this week, so he finally got to the guy to say, okay, he's the guy I'm gonna buy, I'll get to you this weekend. The guy said, fine, I'm busy too. He got back to the guy and he had sold it from under me. Somebody else got it. But I wasn't mad for two reasons. A, that's money saved, that's great. You know, that's great. And B, I like that I'm going modding the guitars that I have for right now, to be honest with you. I'm sure that something else will turn up. I will have my Japanese vintage guitar for my own, but yeah, can you believe sold it out from under me? You know, just awesome. But again, not terribly upset about it. Just wasn't meant to be. Yeah, there'll always be another guitar, but that kind of like, yeah. Right, oof, yeah. It's all right, but I deal in them all the time, almost scanning, and believe me, my friend comes back on March 20th, so I have between now and March 20th to find an alternative, and I think that I can do that. I'm not very good at what my job is. If I can't even do it for myself. So I'm pretty sure something will come out, and maybe I'll have and again, so what's going to happen? So that money, because remember, I something to do that. That money now goes into sits in a box. The cash sits in a box, and as some more comes in, I'll add to it, and maybe I'll be able to buy something a little bit. So that's how that works, guys. Again, like I said, being frugal, being economical, being wise, being your own, luthier when you can are all great ways to get into the start to New York a little bit more wealthier and wise, I think. Certainly from the skills that you learn and that you collect as you start to do your work on your instruments. And again, it makes you very intimate with that instrument as well. You know it very well. I know this Benton very well. And I never thought that I would know a Harley Benton so well. You guys notice it's the one that I wouldn't. Again, when you buy these things, you're buying it for life. I place you could trade because I do see them in stores some places, but really when you buy this one, it's really your guitar. So choose wisely. But this one right here, guys, I couldn't be more pleased with the end result after 3.5 years. And again, 3.5 years. Think about that. 3.5 years it took for me to do slowly, bit by bit, part by part. Part by part, wasn't in a hurry. But the end result, if you're patient, is awesome. I would put this guitar up with quite a few of the more pricier ones that I've had through here. That's for real. I'm not just saying that. But these Dream 90 pickups, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away. The clarity, they warm this guitar up. It's again, I really was a bit of a snob, so I learned something. I learned something today, like Stan from South Park says. I learned something today that you can get and set under $100. You can find some decent out there. I didn't think so, but this changed my mind. Certainly in the case of these. Now again, this is the version 1. I can't vouch for the new version 2 because they've apparently changed the magnet, the wind, and a couple of things. But the way they did it the first time was fine. That's always kind of what happens with these guys. They get a successful product, and they're like, "Doggone it, we're going to approve it. Let's put Quick Lock on it, so it's easy." It's like, ugh. Yeah. Keep it the way it was. Probably is the same thing. I don't know, but I really can't tell you. I don't think they're ceramic. They don't sound like ceramic magnets. When you guys listen to the demo of it, you can tell me what you think. They're not Anical 5 either. My guess is they're Anical 2 magnets in there. A relatively hot wind, but but we'll see. Scott says, Mike, back in the day of tape, have you ever re-recorded or something important that you shouldn't have? No. I never had that problem. I might have shared the story where I was doing a remix for Motown, and in order to save money and time, because it takes time to lay SMPTE, one of the jobs I had working at Babyface's studio was laying sound to tapes. But there was a guy in Inglewood you could take your tape to. He had a machine and he would lay the SMPTE down for $50. And that saved a lot of money and time. And I got into the studio with that tape and started to go, and the SMPTE wouldn't lock. And he apologized. He did it again for free the second time, which he should have. But that was the worst thing I ever experienced. I was always very careful, very careful. I had to be, especially when I was working as a hired hand to record stuff. If I recorded over something, like that, supposedly that the second engineer who was working on Led Zeppelin 2 or Led Zeppelin 3 erased something, that's a famous story. Even I knew that one from my college days, so I wasn't going to be that guy. I was not going to be that guy, to answer that question. So consider it, guys, and you slowly. You don't have to do it all at once. That's again, like I said, another pro tip. Don't feel you do it all at once. Do it because something may show up. These pickups showed up, and they've been sitting around and just like I said today, the magic happened. I'm happy with this guitar. I'm gonna have it out now. I'm gonna play it. It's it made this guitar alive. I cannot overemphasize how a change of pickups. I still gotta adjust the screws, pole pieces a bit, stagger them the way that I like, but I think it's getting there. It's getting there. All right, guys. There'll be a video coming up this week featuring this. The next video after that is going to be part one of the work on the Squire and going down to Ferns and having a conversation with him about it. So there'll be two videos for this Christmas holiday coming out this week. This Sunday, this Wednesday, we'll be doing a Wednesday night show. We'll be doing regular a week from now, Sunday Night Hump. Should be all good. Should be all good. The schedule is pretty much all free and clear to go. Thank you so much for taking the time to show up tonight. I hope you took something out of this that's useful, educational, inspiring. Yeah. Thank you guys a lot. I thank each and every one of you guys for every showing up. Special shout out to Matt for moderating tonight. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you doing the hard work. Although I noticed that since you became the moderator, man, I haven't had a single bot. They were like, he's got Maddie on the job. Let's not even mess around. I really do believe that. I'm being a little facetious, but I gotta believe that once they saw that I got moderator, they were like, that's it. Because look, we haven't had one tonight. Not one. Not one. Bot free now, guys. Bot free now. You guys take care. Have a good one. Have a week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.